More specifically, scenario 4 and scenario 5. So,
is that on the slide, please?
it's not a slide. This is an actual sheet and that we've been using over and over and over. So this is an updated version of it. And so I'm going to walk through it, and I'm going to walk through it verbally so that you guys can hear. In scenario 4, based on the direction from the board, based on the original number that was presented, the board had asked that we add back certain things. For example, in scenario 4, the board added back kindergarten. That was one of the things that the board wanted to add back. The second thing that the board gave me the direction to do was to take any excess monies and apply it in what we believed in, the administration. I believe it was about $72,000 at the time. So just so you know, we've talked with Dr. Schilling, we've updated the actual document, we've created a schedule with respect to scenario number 4, and what I'm going to share with you is the additional monies must be applied to kindergarten as well. For this very reason. We have currently, based on enrollment projections that we've been doing in the first year, we're going to be updated at the next board meeting in March, we have currently about 120 kids. We can expect at or near that number. That means we're going to need 3 sections at each building of kindergarten. That means we're going to need 3 sections of kindergarten at each building. 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, plus each of our co-teaching classes. And we know that because Mike has brought this attention quite a few times. If we know the enrollment, then let's staff to the enrollment. So knowing what I know, I'm allocating the dollars specifically to serve the kindergarten. This is what it means, though, with scenario 4, and I want to be very clear. In scenario 4, if you take the money and you allocate it toward kindergarten, and you omit the art and you omit the music, as we have discussed, which is on the actual sheet of paper, you still meet the amount of $773,100, which is less than the which is greater than the $750,000, which is really what we've been striving to stay in compliance with the deficit reduction plan that you've submitted to the state. What that means is the following. If you take out the art and take out the music, that means that the school day is going to start at 8:40 and end at 3:30, or start at the current time of 8:15 or 8:10 and end at 2:30. I'm going to repeat that. If you take out the art and you take out the music, which is the original proposal, which meets the expectation of $773,000, which is slightly greater than the $750,000, which is your reduction plan submitted to the state, your school day will start at 8:40 and end at 3:30, or start at 8:10 or 8:15 and end at 2:30. I want to share with you, I created with the scheduling committee, I know this is going off, and it's going to be actually an addition. We created a schedule where we added art and music in. I know I wasn't told I could do this, but I know art and music are very important. It affects many kids. Many kids. Dynamic program, it's what makes school fun. Right? I came to school for art, music, industrial arts, and athletics. That's why I came to school. And you know that about me. So if I put that in context, then and only then in scenario 4 can you meet that expectation of extending the day. Extending the day. Okay, so we've created the schedule with the scheduling committee, which is made up of teachers, to include the art and the music. The problem with that is that's a cost of $238,000, which means that the $773,000 is below the $750,000. In fact, it's about $535,000. $535,000. Okay. However, for our purposes, just to be clear, scenario 4, when you look at it, when you look through all the programs, when you look at what is added back, the support staff, you'll lose 3 support staff, you'll lose 3 certified staff for a total of 11 staff members. Once again, you lose 3 support staff, 8 certified staff for a total of 11 staff members. And I'm just going to walk through this so that people understand what is lost in scenario 4, what programs you will lose. Okay? So the programs that you will lose, based on what we're finding, is you're going to lose art, you're going to lose your music, lose industrial arts programs, and all of your sports. The things that make school fun. In addition, committee work, learning center, support staff, instructional technology deferment, which is one of the goals of this board, office assistants, and I don't know if you've ever been in the office, how hectic it gets. So you can imagine if you go down from 2 people to 1, reading specialists, and field trips. And so that is scenario 4. Are there any questions on scenario 4 before I go over scenario 5? And this is strictly a budgetary document. This is what we've been working at since the beginning, and this is why I'm going to keep referring to this document. We have not deviated from this document. We did one time. We're never going to do that again. But this is the document we're going to work from. So at this point in time, are there any questions based on what I have stated or what I've went through on this document? Christian.
Question, yes. You knew it was coming. You stated the hours. You're suggesting 8:40 to 3:30 and 8:10 or 8:15 to 2:30. Now, what is the cluster in time and how much of a difference it is from the previous one? Like
the instructional time? You would lose, it depends, because at the elementary, your school day is from 8:15 to 3 o'clock. Okay. Right? So you'd lose 30 minutes on the elementary versus in the, I'm going to call it the middle school, even though we're an elementary district. At the middle school, your school day starts at 8:15 and ends at 3:25. So you'd lose 55 minutes in the middle school. If you do not put art and music back in, that would be the case. However, as a superintendent, I don't want to take away programs. It's the last thing I want to do. You know that.
I agree.
So with that being said, when we created a schedule, we put art and music back in because we believe in it. We believe in it. We believe in all of them. Sure. We think they're all equally important. And as I remind you, the state does not agree with us. The state actually has certain courses that are by law required, certain courses that are not required.
Can I ask, how is it that this is the one that we got like the other day, and now from that one, art was 90,000, now it's 98,000, music was 120,000, now it's 140,000. Like how all of a sudden did all their salaries increase? Industrial arts was 60,000 on the old one, now all of a sudden it's 68,000. Like I'm just confused. Like how all of a sudden did everything also increase by 10,000, 8,000?
So when we went through it as an exercise, what we did is we had some estimates there that were very close to the expectations. When we actually did these sheets for scenario 4 and 5, we created a schedule. So we put people into these documents right here. So these are actual salaries of employees, inclusive of benefits, workers' comp, et cetera, et cetera. So these are actual numbers. So we basically went through the budget and we basically applied all the real numbers in here. So what you're seeing in here is real people.
I mean, I thought that's what we were seeing in this, because we knew who taught art, we knew who taught music, we knew who taught industrial arts, so. Okay, I'm just confused on why we had numbers that we thought were real numbers and now they're not real numbers, but okay. Continue. Thank you. That was option
There's an
4.
influx of extra money that that was just a statement following up on what she said. So, any reason why there's changes? Why we had one set of numbers and we have another set of numbers? explanations on that, or is that?
Well, the numbers are slightly different. They're within
Okay.
reason.
Okay.
They're within reason. But I'm going to remind you, we did not put people, specific people, into the previous document. This is specific people that are in the document. Employees that we have that based on the direction that we take on Monday night, we're going to have to dismiss employees.
So you went more in detail, is what you're saying, as far as planning this out for the two scenarios.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Can I go through scenario 5?
Please do.
Okay. So with scenario 5, and I'm just going to walk through it. Scenario 5 includes the kindergarten, which the board wanted to include. The difference here is instead of having 6 kindergarten teachers, we only need 5. Because it's in one building, and you can proportion your classrooms more efficiently, more effectively.
So how would that be? So you have 120 kids. You can divide them up and put some more kids in one class versus another, or how would that?
Absolutely. One of the things that we could do is we could put slightly more kids in one class because we have one co-teacher.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's one of the things, and I know your child is in the co-teaching class.
Mm-hmm.
So we have one co-teacher, so we can look at how we can be more effective in our classroom distribution.
Right.
Our current predicament now is, when you look at Lee and when you look at Giles, sometimes we'll have to add a teacher at Lee because we hit a certain number and we have to bump it up.
Right.
So if you look at your classroom list, which you get regularly, you get them every board meeting, and this was brought to my attention, the classrooms in the middle school, more specifically at Lee, are less than that of Giles.
So it's offering more flexibility. You don't have to have the two. I mean, you don't have
Yes.
to duplicate this in both places.
It's the duplication that we're currently in. When you have 2 buildings, you have to duplicate your services.
Right.
Whereas you can be more flexible in what you're able to distribute in the classrooms.
Of course.
Okay?
Yep.
So once again, I added back the kindergarten. Right? The regular education programs is $522,900. In scenario 5, you have the music, you have the art included, industrial arts,
It's gone, right?
it's not included. If I had my recommendation, I would say we need to invest some money into our industrial arts room because you only have one, and we need to revisit our conversations about industrial arts. We haven't gotten there yet. That one's not over. So that would be my recommendation. Put the money in industrial arts. It's only a one-time cost to fix one classroom in this case, and let's revisit that one teacher. But we haven't gotten there yet. So I want to get through this first, and that's something I'll revisit in the future.
So let me ask you this. So this amount listed in this industrial art program 1 that's listed in this box in scenario 5, that's included or is it not included?
Not
So
So we
shouldn't
see a
you have
number.
parentheses? That
Just the other way around. Those are the programs that are being eliminated to save money. And if you look at the kindergarten, there's in parentheses because you're adding it back in.
Right.
Just the reverse
Okay.
of. So
Yeah, you added the money back in.
got it.
Okay? Is there a question? Okay. All sports and clubs, since you would have, or if you would, you'd have one building, right? You'd have one set of sports and clubs. We could not add back the curriculum committee work. I do not believe you need to do that. I think that's something we could revisit in the future if you so choose. And then we added the office assistants back into